Each step releases new fragrances, the earthy richness of loam thick with life, the green smell of moss and fern, the subtle perfume of flowers that bloom only in darkness and fade before dawn. Above you, the canopy closes like a cathedral ceiling, wrought by nature's own hand, and through the gaps between leaves, stars peer down like distant, watching eyes filled with ancient wisdom. And through the gaps between leaves, stars peer down like distant, watching eyes filled with ancient wisdom. The leaves themselves whisper secrets as they catch the night breeze, their voices speaking in languages you don't recognize, but somehow understand. Stories of rain that fell before the first roads were laid, of creatures that once walked these paths in ages, when magic flowed as freely as water from a spring, of songs sung under constellations that have wheeled across the sky since time began. As you walk deeper into the forest, you begin to understand why this place draws you with such irresistible pull. There's something here, something that calls to the part of your soul that remembers older times, when the world was younger and wonder was not rare, but common as breathing. The trees lean in close, not threateningly, but like old friends sharing secrets too precious to speak aloud in ordinary daylight. Their branches interweave overhead, creating patterns of shadow and moonlight that shift and dance as if the very darkness were alive and welcoming. The path winds deeper, following contours older than human memory, and you follow it without question or hesitation. Your feet seem to know the way, as if you've walked here before in dreams you can't quite remember. Or perhaps in lives you lived when the world was different, and magic was as natural as sunrise. The earth beneath your feet thrums with a gentle rhythm, like the heartbeat of something vast and patient and infinitely loving. To your left, a small stream appears, emerging from between moss-covered stones like a secret being shared for the first time. The water runs dark as wine in the moonlight, but clear as crystal when you kneel to cup it in your hands. And you can see straight through to the bottom, where small pebbles shine like scattered gems. The stream bed is lined with stones worn smooth by countless years of patient water, each one a different color. Some deep blue like midnight sky, others green as summer leaves, still others shot through with veins of gold that seem to pulse with their own inner fire. The water tastes of earth and growing things, of rain that fell before the first Shire gardens were ever planted, of snow melted from mountains whose names have been forgotten by all but the wind. The sound follows you down into dreams, where silver trees grow in circles of singing stones, where fireflies dance the first dance of creation, where every path leads home and every home leads to wonder. In your dreams, you walk the old paths again, but this time you are not alone. Others have found their way to the silver tree, drawn by the same inexplicable call that brought you there, guided by the same hunger for beauty, the same need to connect with something larger than themselves. Together you sit in the circle of singing stones, adding your voices to the ancient song, weaving new threads into the tapestry of memory and hope that connects all times and all places and all beings who have ever dared to love something more than themselves. In your dreams, the boundary between the magical and the mundane dissolves entirely, and you remember what you've always known in the deepest part of your heart, that wonder is not rare, but everywhere, waiting only for eyes that know how to see, and hearts that dare to believe, and souls that are willing to be changed by beauty. The night deepens around your sleeping form, and the great forest keeps its patient watch, holding space for all who have walked its paths, and all who will walk them in times to come. Somewhere in its heart, the silver tree continues to grow, its roots reaching deep into the earth's memory, its branches reaching high toward the singing stars that wheel overhead in their ancient patterns. The stones remember their song, the fireflies dance their eternal dance, and the paths wait for the next dreamer brave enough to follow them into the beautiful unknown. And you sleep, cradled in the warm safety of your home, but carrying in your heart the vast wonder of the wild places, the deep places, the places where magic grows like silver leaves in the moonlight, and love flows like water from an inexhaustible spring. You sleep, and in your sleeping, you dream of starlight caught in tree bark, of water that tastes of ancient rain, of the vast and patient love that holds all growing things in its eternal embrace. In your dreams, the forest paths stretch endlessly in all directions, each one leading to new wonders, new mysteries, new moments of beauty that take your breath away. You walk with companions both seen and unseen, the deer with their crowns of flowering vines, the great stag whose antlers hold all the colors of creation, the tall figures in flowing robes who move like music made visible, the bright-eyed gardeners whose laughter teaches flowers how to bloom. The silver tree grows larger in your dreams, its trunk expanding to encompass whole worlds, its branches reaching across galaxies to touch other trees on distant planets, where different kinds of beings sing their own parts in the universal song. You understand now that the tree in Mirkwood is just one note in a symphony that spans all of existence, one thread in a tapestry that includes every star, every world, every heart that has ever learned to love something greater than itself. The stones sing louder in your dreams, their voices harmonizing with crystals buried deep in the Earth's core, with meteors singing through the void between stars, with the resonant frequencies of planets as they spin through space in their eternal dance around distant suns. The music they make together is the foundation upon which all other music rests, the bass note that gives depth and meaning to every melody ever composed, ever hummed, ever dreamed into existence. You see now how the paths connect everything, how the trail that led you into Mirkwood is part of a vast network that spans dimensions, connecting hearts across time and space, allowing love to flow like underground rivers from one consciousness to another. Every act of kindness, every moment of wonder, every choice to see beauty instead of ugliness sends ripples along these paths, carrying light to places that might otherwise remain dark. In your dreams, you understand why the elves sometimes avoid these paths at night. Not just because the beauty is overwhelming, but because once you truly see the connections, once you fully grasp how all existence is woven together by threads of light and love, it becomes almost impossible to concern yourself with the small dramas of ordinary life. The elves, who must live in the world while keeping their immortal perspectives, need to ration their exposure to such complete understanding, lest they become too removed from the day-to-day concerns that also matter, that also have their place in the great song. The Shire is quiet. The lanterns are glowing. Welcome back to the Hobbit's hideout, where stories grow like leaves on the party tree. Hello, guys. Today we're walking where starlight struggles to reach the forest floor, and the trees remember songs older than kingdoms. Before we wander the Shire together, let's pause, take a long, deep breath, and let the weight of your day melt away like morning mist on the party tree. You've earned this quiet moment just for you. Imagine the soft grass beneath your feet, the smell of fresh-baked bread in the air. If any part of this tale makes you smile or brings you a sense of home, I'd love to hear about it in the comments below. Now, let me paint the scene for you. The evening air carries the familiar comfort of pipe, smoke, and distant laughter from the Green Dragon Inn. Lantern light dances across cobblestone paths like golden fireflies, casting long shadows that seem to beckon toward adventure. The warm glow spills from round windows, each one framing scenes of contentment. A hobbit reading by his fire. Children gathered around their grandmother as she spins tales of long ago. Friends sharing a pint and stories that grow taller with each telling. The scent of honeysuckle mingles with the earthy richness of well-tended gardens. Sweet peas climbing trellises heavy with purple blooms, and rose bushes so thick with flowers they seem to glow in the lamplight. You can almost taste the lingering sweetness of seed cakes cooling on windowsills, their golden crusts still crackling from the oven's warmth. Somewhere a cricket begins its evening song, soon joined by another, then another, until the air thrums with their gentle chorus. A nightingale adds its liquid notes from the old oak by Miller Ted's pond, while in the distance, The soft splash of the mill wheel turning speaks of grain being ground for tomorrow's bread. The very air seems to shimmer with contentment, thick with the perfume of jasmine that climbs every fence post and garden gate. Take another breath, deeper now. Let the warmth of the Shire settle around your shoulders like a well-worn cloak passed down through generations. Feel your heartbeat slow to match the gentle rhythm of this peaceful place, where time moves like honey and worry seems as distant as the gray havens. The cobblestones beneath your feet still hold the day's warmth, worn smooth by countless generations of hobbit feet, each stone placed with care and love for those who would walk upon them. But tonight, dear traveler, we venture beyond the familiar green borders of the Shire. Tonight, a wind carries something different. A soft whisper in the hedgerows. A promise of something unseen calling from the wild places beyond the maps. You find yourself drawn to a path you've never noticed before. One that leads away from the comfortable glow of Hobbiton's windows and toward the vast darkness of the great forests beyond. It begins innocuously enough, just past Old Noak's turnip field, where the hedge grows wild, and thick with blackberry vines heavy with fruit that gleams like dark jewels in the starlight. The familiar sounds of the Shire fade gradually behind you. The last cricket song, the distant closing of a door with its gentle squeak that speaks of well-oiled hinges in careful craftsmanship. The soft whinny of a pony settling in for the night in a stable thick with fresh straw. A barn owl calls once from the great elm that marks the Shire's eastern boundary, its voice both farewell and blessing for the journey ahead. You stand at the edge of what the maps call Mirkwood, though few dare to name it so boldly in the deep of night. The moon hangs full and silver above the tree line, like a great lamp lit by hands more ancient than memory, casting everything in shades of pearl and shadow, silver and deep velvet blue. Here, at the forest's edge, a different kind of quiet begins. Not the comfortable quiet of the Shire, with its undertones of life and growth and gentle activity, but something older, deeper, more mysterious. It's the quiet of places that have stood unchanged since the world was young, where time moves differently, and the very air holds memories too vast for ordinary minds to grasp. The path before you is old, older than the Shire, older than many of the kingdoms of men, older perhaps than the first songs ever sung under stars. It is worn smooth by countless feet, some bare and light as deer stepping delicately through morning dew, others clad in soft leather boots that made no sound even on the crispest autumn leaves. But for you, a mortal being whose time is limited and therefore precious, this glimpse of the eternal pattern is exactly what you need. It doesn't remove you from your ordinary life, but enriches it immeasurably, helping you see that there are no ordinary moments, only moments when you're not paying attention to the magic that surrounds you always. Your dream walking takes you to seasons other than this gentle summer night. You see the forest in spring, when new leaves unfurl like tiny green flags celebrating winter's end, when streams run full with snowmelt, and the air thrums with the energy of new beginnings. Every tree is a chorus of celebration, every flower a note of pure joy, every bird a messenger carrying news of renewal to all who have ears to hear. You see it in autumn, when the leaves turn to gold and crimson and deep purple, when the forest floor becomes a carpet of such beauty that every step feels like walking on stained glass windows lit from within. The trees are preparing for their winter rest, but there's no sadness in their letting go, only a deep satisfaction in having spent, their energy well in having grown strong and given shelter and beauty to all who sought them. You see the forest in winter, when snow lies thick on every branch, and the silence is so profound it seems sacred. The trees sleep but do not dream. Instead, they remember, holding in their roots and bark and frozen sap all the summers they've lived through, all the storms they've weathered, all the creatures they've sheltered. In winter, the forest becomes a library of living memory, each tree a volume in the vast encyclopedia of existence. But always you return to this summer night, to the moonlight, painting everything silver to the fireflies, dancing their ancient dance to the singing stones and the great tree whose leaves hold all the colors that ever were or could be. This is the season when the veils between worlds are thinnest, when magic flows most freely, when hearts are most open to wonder and minds most ready to be changed by beauty. Your dreams carry you deeper into the mystery of what you experience tonight. You understand now that every living thing carries within it a spark of the same light that makes the forest glow, the same music that makes the stones sing, the same love that connects all existence in an unbreakable web of tearing. The difference is not in the presence or absence of this spark, but in how much we allow ourselves to see it, to feel it, to be changed by it. Some people go through their entire lives without ever noticing the light that shines from within their own hearts, never hearing the song that their own existence adds to the universal symphony. They re not broken or lesser. They re simply so caught up in the everyday concerns of survival and comfort that they never pause long enough to notice the miracle of their own being, the wonder of their own place in the great dance of existence. But you are different now. You've walked where the light is too bright to ignore, where the music is too beautiful to miss, where the love is so vast and obvious that it changes everything about how you see yourself and your place in the world. You can never again pretend that you're just an isolated individual struggling alone through a meaningless universe. You know now that you're part of something infinite and beautiful and sacred, that your every breath adds to the wind that moves through the silver leaves, that your every heartbeat adds to the rhythm that keeps the stars in their courses. In your dreams, you feel the presence of all those who have walked these paths before you, and you understand that you're not just an observer of the beauty you witnessed tonight. You a participant in it. Your wonder adds to the wonder. Your joy contributes to the joy. Your willingness to be changed by beauty makes the beauty itself more real, more powerful, more capable of changing others who will walk these paths in times to come. The great tree in your dreams speaks to you without words, sharing truths too vast for language, but perfect for the language of the heart. It tells you that every tree in every forest, in every garden, in every park or yard or window box is connected to it by roots that go deeper than soil, by branches that reach farther than any eye can see. When you water a houseplant with love, when you sit in the shade of an oak with gratitude, when you marvel at the perfect architecture of a maple leaf, you're participating in the same mystery that brought you to the silver tree tonight. The stones in your dreams expand their song to include all stones everywhere. The pebbles in your garden path, the mountains that rise like cathedrals against the sky, the precious gems that form in darkness deep underground, the simple rocks that children collect, because something about their shape or color calls to the wonder that lives in every young heart. All of them are part of the earth's own song, all of them holding in their crystalline structure the memory of pressures and times and transformations that would astound any mind capable of truly comprehending them. The fireflies in your dreams become every source of light that has ever pushed back darkness. Candles lit in windows to welcome travelers home. Stars that burn for billions of years to give light to worlds they'll never see. The brief, bright spark of love that flares between two hearts and illuminates everything around them for as long as it lasts. Every light is sacred. Every light is necessary. Every light adds its unique contribution to the great illumination that makes existence beautiful instead of merely functional. As your dreams deepen toward the profound rest that comes at the end of a day well lived, you feel yourself settling into a peace more complete than any you've ever known. It's not the peace of having nothing to do, but the peace of knowing that everything you need to do grows naturally from who you are, from your place in the great pattern, from your part in the eternal song that includes every voice, every instrument, every moment of silence that gives the music meaning. The Shire settles into deeper quiet around your sleeping form, but it is not the quiet of emptiness or ending. It is the quiet of fullness, of heart's content, of souls that have tasted wonder and found it good and know that they will taste it again. It is the quiet of those who have walked in sacred places and come home changed, carrying light in their eyes and songs in their hearts that will never entirely fade, no matter how many ordinary days come between them and the extraordinary night, when they learn to see magic as clearly as moonlight. The night air carries the mingled fragrances of all the flowers that bloom in darkness, night-blooming jasmine and moonflowers, evening primrose and 4 o'clocks that open as the sun sets and close before it rises again. These flowers know secrets that day-blooming plants never learn, mysteries that can only be discovered by those who are awake when the rest of the world sleeps, who are willing to wander into darkness, trusting that they will find light. Your breathing slows and deepens, matching the rhythm of the earth's own breathing, the slow pulse of seasons changing, of tides flowing in and out, of hearts opening and closing, like flowers that know exactly when to bloom and when to rest. In your deepest sleep, you are held by forces more ancient and reliable than any human institution, more loving than any earthly relationship, more beautiful than any work of art ever created by mortal hands. The stars wheel overhead in their ancient patterns, telling stories in a language older than words, marking time on a scale that makes human history seem like a single breath in an eternal song. Some of those stars were shining when the silver tree was just a seedling reaching toward light for the first time. Others are so young that their light has never before touched the earth where you sleep. All of them are part of the vast family of lights that makes the darkness beautiful instead of frightening. That turns night into a time of rest and reflection rather than a time of fear and hiding. Until morning comes with its promise of new adventures, new paths to explore, new wonders to discover in both the magical places and the ordinary ones, new opportunities to see the sacred in the mundane and the eternal in the temporary. Until the sun rises on another day in a world where magic lives in every growing thing, where beauty waits around every corner, where the old paths through the great forests remain open to any who dare to walk them with love and reverence and an open heart. The moonlight fades gradually as the earth turns toward dawn, but the light you carry within you never dims. It grows stronger with use, brighter with sharing, more beautiful with each act of kindness. It inspires each moment of wonder. It makes possible each heart. It helps to open to the vast and patient love that moves through all existence like wind through silver leaves. And all around you, the world hums softly, as dreams begin to weave their way through the night, carrying you deeper into rest, deeper into peace, deeper into the quiet certainty that some kinds of beauty are worth any journey to find, that some kinds of love are strong enough to heal any wound, that some kinds of wonder are real enough to transform any heart willing to be changed. The forest keeps its ancient watch. The stones remember their eternal song. The great tree grows in its circle of singing light, and the paths remain open for all who hunger for beauty, who thirst for wonder, who need to remember that they are part of something infinite and sacred and beautiful beyond all telling. And for now, all is still, all is well, and the Shire waits to welcome you again whenever you need the comfort of home and the peace of belonging and the gentle magic of love, made visible in every flowering hedge and every glowing window and every heart that chooses kindness over fear. Thank you for sharing this quiet moment with me tonight, dear traveler. Send word by Raven if you have a tale you'd like to hear next. Until our paths cross again beneath the party tree. A path winds between two ancient oak trees whose trunks are so massive that their combined girth could shelter a small village. Their bark is scarred with the passage of centuries, marked by storms weathered and seasons endured, yet they stand proud and strong, their branches intertwining overhead like the clasped hands of old friends. Moss grows thick along the edges of the path, and you notice how it glows faintly in the moonlight, as if it holds some light of its own captured from summers long past. The moss is soft as velvet beneath your fingers, and when you touch it, you feel a gentle warmth that speaks of life thriving even in the deepest shadows. Tiny flowers bloom within the moss, stars of white and gold, no bigger than your fingernail, their petals translucent as spun glass and glowing with their own inner light. The trees that arch overhead are enormous, their trunks wide enough that a dozen folk holding hands could not encircle them. Their bark dark as night, but shot through with veins of silver that catch and hold the moonlight like captured starfire. As you look closer, you realize these silver veins form patterns, not random, but deliberate, as if some great artist had taken ages to inscribe stories in the living wood itself. The patterns seem to shift and change when you're not looking directly at them, telling tales of seasons past and seasons yet to come, of rain and sun and wind and the endless dance of growth and rest that marks the turning of the years. You take your first step onto the path, and immediately the world changes. The air grows thicker, honey-sweet with the scent of night-blooming flowers you cannot name but somehow recognize, as if you've smelled them in dreams you can't quite remember. Your footsteps make no sound on the soft earth, cushioned by centuries of fallen leaves that have become a carpet deeper than memory. As you drink, you feel something shift inside you, a quiet opening, like a door you didn't know was closed, suddenly swinging wide to let in light and air and possibilities you never dreamed existed. The water seems to flow through you, carrying with it memories not your own, glimpses of this forest in seasons past, visions of creatures both strange and beautiful, who came to drink from this same stream under moons long since waned. You continue walking, and now you begin to notice them, the signs that this forest holds memories too deep for ordinary telling, secrets too vast for daylight hours to contain. Here, a circle of white stones surrounds a grove where no grass grows, only moss soft as velvet that glows with its own gentle light, pulsing slowly like the breathing of the earth itself. The stones are carved with symbols that seem to shift and change as you watch, now resembling letters in some unknown script, now looking like stylized flowers or leaves or birds in flight. Each stone hums with a different note, and together they create a harmony so beautiful it brings tears to your eyes. There a tree whose bark bears marks that might be writing in a script older than Elvish, though the symbols seem to shift and change when you're not looking directly at them, as if the tree itself is slowly composing an epic too grand for any single observer to read in its entirety. The bark is silver white, smooth as silk beneath your palm, and warm to the touch despite the cool night air. When you press your ear against it, you can hear the tree's heartbeat, slow and steady, and somehow reassuring, like the pulse of a great bell struck ages ago and still reverberating through time. And everywhere, the sense of presence, not threatening, but vast and patient, like the breathing of the earth itself, like the slow circulation of sap through roots that reach deeper than the deepest wells, like the ancient conversation between wind and leaf that has continued unbroken since the first tree learned to reach toward light. You are not alone here, though you see no one. The very air around you seems alive with watching, with attention both curious and kind. The path forks ahead, and without hesitation, you take the left branch. It leads upward now, winding around the trunks of trees so massive they seem less like living things and more like pillars holding up the sky itself. Each tree is different, some with bark rough as granite, others smooth as water, some twisted into spirals that seem to reach toward heaven with desperate longing, others straight and tall as towers built by master craftsmen. The roots of these giants intertwine beneath the earth, and you can feel their connection in the very ground beneath your feet, as if you walk upon the back of some vast, sleeping creature whose dreams shape the landscape around its slumber. As you climb, the air grows cooler and somehow more alive, charged with possibility like the moment before lightning strikes, but gentle and welcoming rather than fierce. Fireflies begin to appear, dancing between the branches like fallen stars that forgot they once lived in the heavens. Their light is different from ordinary fireflies, more blue than gold, and they seem to pulse in rhythm with your heartbeat, as if responding to your presence, welcoming you to their ancient dance. The fireflies spiral around you as you walk, creating patterns of light that speak without words of joy and welcome, and the deep contentment that comes from being exactly where you belong. Some are tiny as pinpricks of light, others large as your thumb, and the largest ones glow with colors that have no names. Deep purples that contain all the mystery of twilight greens that hold the essence of new spring leaves. Blues that capture the depth of midnight sky reflected in still water. You pause at a clearing where the moonlight falls in silver pools, painting everything in shades of pearl and platinum. The grass here grows in perfect circles, each blade precisely placed as if by an artist's hand, and flowers bloom in impossible profusion. Roses the size of dinner plates with petals that shimmer like spun starlight. Lily tall as saplings with trumpets that seem to sing silently in the night breeze. Daisies with centers of pure gold that glow like tiny suns. And here you see them clearly for the first time, the other travelers of this path. Deer with coats that shimmer like water under moonlight, their eyes holding intelligence far beyond that of ordinary woodland creatures. They watch you with curiosity, but no fear, as if recognizing something in you that you're only beginning to recognize in yourself. Their antlers catch and hold the light, branching like silver trees, and flowers bloom among the tines, roses and jasmine and morning glories that open only in darkness. A great stag approaches, magnificent beyond description, his antlers crowned with vines that bloom with flowers of impossible colors. Deep purple, shot through with veins of gold, silver white that seems to contain all colors at once, blue so deep it makes the night sky seem pale by comparison. His coat shifts between silver and white and the faintest hint of gold, and his eyes hold the wisdom of ages, the patience of stones, the gentleness of rain falling on thirsty earth. He bows his magnificent head to you, a greeting between equals, and in that gesture, you understand that you have been accepted here, welcomed into a company far older and more noble than you ever dreamed possible. The great stag's breath is warm against your cheek, scented with herbs and flowers and the clean smell of mountain air. For a moment that seems to last forever, you look into his ancient eyes and see reflected there your own capacity for wonder, your own hunger for beauty, your own deep need to connect with something larger and more lasting than the small concerns of everyday life. Then he steps back with infinite grace and leads his herd back into the deeper shadows, moving like flowing water, like wind through grass, like music made visible. You watch until the last flicker of silver disappears among the trees, and then you continue upward, carrying with you the blessing of that encounter, the gift of being seen and known and accepted by creatures older than memory. As you continue upward along paths that seem to spiral through both space and time, you begin to understand why the elves avoid these routes when darkness falls. It's not fear that keeps them away. It's reverence deeper than the deepest ocean. This place holds too much memory, too much accumulated joy and sorrow and wonder for even immortal hearts to bear easily without being changed forever. Every tree, every stone, every breath of wind carries the weight of ages, the echo of every song, ever sung, every tear ever shed, every moment of joy that ever bloomed like a flower in the heart of someone who walked these paths before you. The very air thrums with the music of creation itself, not heard but felt, not understood but experienced, a symphony so vast and complex that it encompasses every sound that ever was or ever could be. You feel it in your bones, in the rhythm of your blood, in the quiet spaces between your thoughts where wonder lives and grows and reaches toward light like a plant seeking sun. You reach a plateau where ancient stones stand in a perfect circle, weathered by millennia, but still proud and straight, each one a different type of rock, granite and marble, obsidian and crystal stones that seem ordinary until you look closer and see the light trapped within them, the patterns that speak of forces greater than wind and rain and time. The stones are arranged with mathematical precision, yet they feel organic, as if they grew from the earth itself rather than being placed by any hand, however skilled. At their center grows a tree unlike any you've ever seen or dreamed. Its trunk silver as starlight captured in living wood. Its bark smooth as silk, yet strong as the bones of mountains. The tree rises impossibly high, its crown lost in the canopy above, and its leaves shift between every color that ever was or ever could be. Now green as new grass in spring, now gold as autumn sunshine, now silver as moonlight on water, now colors that have no names in any language spoken by mortal tongues. As you approach the great tree, you understand that this is the heart of why you were called here tonight. The reason your feet found this ancient path when your mind never suspected it existed. This tree, this place, holds the memory of when the world was young, and magic was not rare, but common as sunlight. When the boundary between dreaming and waking was thin as morning mist, when every living thing knew its place in the great song and sang its part with joy. The tree's roots spread wide around its base, creating natural seats and resting places, carpeted with moss softer than the finest velvet. You choose a spot between two great roots and settle yourself comfortably, your back against the warm silver bark, your hands resting on moss that seems to pulse gently with life and welcome. The moment you touch the tree, you feel a connection snap into place, as if a circuit has been completed, as if you have become part of something far larger and more wonderful than you ever imagined possible. The stones around you begin to sing, not with voices you can hear with your ears, but with a music that resonates in your bones, in the rhythm of your blood, in the quiet spaces between your thoughts, where wonder and mystery and deep knowing live. The song tells you of the time before time when the first trees learned to reach toward light, when the first stars chose their places in the sky and hung. They're like lanterns lit for a celebration that would last until the end of days, when the first hearts learned to love something more than themselves, and in that loving found themselves transformed. The song speaks of seasons beyond counting, of rain that has fallen and snow that has melted and sun that has shone on this place since the world was new. It tells of creatures beyond imagining who have walked these paths, some that you would recognize, others so strange and wonderful that your mind can barely hold the shape of them. Giants who moved like walking mountains, their footsteps shaking the earth, but their touch gentle as a mother's hand. Beings of pure light who danced between the trees, leaving trails of starfire in their wake. Creatures of shadow who were not dark but deep, holding within themselves all the mysteries that daylight cannot reveal. The fireflies gather closer now, drawn by the tree's silent song, creating a soft aurora of blue-white light that dances around you like a living constellation. In their glow, you see glimpses of those who walked these paths before, not as ghosts or spirits, but as memories held in light and shadow, as echoes of joy and wonder that refuse to fade. Tall figures in flowing robes who moved like wind through grass, their faces ageless and serene, their eyes holding depths of wisdom that could drown mountains. They were the first singers, the ones who taught the stones their songs, who showed the trees how to hold starlight in their leaves. Smaller folk with eyes bright as gems who laughed as they worked the earth with loving hands coaxing flowers from barren ground, teaching streams to sing sweeter songs, showing the very air how to carry fragrances that could heal hearts broken by loss or longing. They were the gardeners of the world, the ones who understood that beauty must be tended with patience and care, that wonder grows best in soil, enriched by kindness and attention. Creatures of fur and feather and bark, who were friends to all who came in peace, who could speak in languages older than words, who knew the names of every star and the story behind each constellation. They were the bridges between worlds, the translators of mysteries, the ones who helped other beings understand that all life is connected by threads finer than spider silk, but stronger than the roots of mountains. All of them part of the great song, all of them threads in a tapestry, too vast and beautiful for any single mind to comprehend fully, yet perfect in its complexity, each thread essential to the whole, each voice necessary to the harmony that holds all existence in its embrace. You close your eyes and let the song wash over you, through you, around you, until you cannot tell where the music ends and you begin. And in that moment of complete surrender, you understand why the elves avoid these paths at night. Not from fear, but from an almost overwhelming love that threatens to dissolve the boundaries of self. That calls them to merge so completely with the beauty around them that they might forget they ever had names or homes or purposes beyond this eternal moment of connection. To walk here is to remember everything the world has been and might yet become, to feel the weight of every goodbye ever spoken, and the hope of every hello yet to come. It's beautiful beyond words, and almost too much beauty for a single heart to hold without being changed forever. The love here is so vast, so all-encompassing, that it could sweep you away like a leaf on a flood, carry you so far from yourself that you might never find your way back to the small familiar territory of your ordinary life. But you are not alone here, and you are not lost. The great tree shelters you with branches that whisper of patience and acceptance, reminding you that beauty this profound is meant to be experienced gradually, like wine sipped slowly to savor its complexity, like a garden explored one flower at a time to appreciate the unique gift each blossom offers. The singing stones remind you that even the hardest hearts can learn to make music. That transformation is possible for anyone willing to open themselves to wonder. The fireflies dance their ancient dance of light and darkness, showing you that even the smallest flame can push back the deepest night, that each individual light matters in the greater illumination, that you too have something precious to contribute to the eternal dance of creation. Their light speaks of hope maintained through the darkest hours, of joy that persists even when sorrow seems overwhelming, of the indestructible spark of life that burns in every living thing. And gradually, the overwhelming feeling of beauty settles into something warmer and more manageable gratitude. Deep, abiding gratitude for being allowed to witness this, to be present in this sacred place, to be trusted with mysteries that could shatter a smaller heart or a more closed mind. Gratitude for the journey that brought you here, for the courage that made you take the first step onto this ancient path, for the openness that allowed you to receive what this place offers to those who come seeking wonder. As the night deepens and the moon begins its slow descent toward the western horizon, the path calls you onward once more. You rise from the roots of the silver tree with a sense of having been blessed, changed in some fundamental way that you do and yet fully understand, but know will unfold within you for years to come. The tree's leaves rustle in farewell, sounding like gentle applause, like the whispered blessings of all who have ever found solace in this place. The descent begins, following paths that wind between trees, whose presence feels familiar now, like the faces of friends glimpsed in firelight, like voices heard in dreams that bring comfort upon waking. The forest around you seems more alive than ever, not just with the obvious life of growing things, but with the deeper life of consciousness itself, as if every tree and stone and blade of grass is aware of your presence and wishes you well on your journey home. You pass groves where flowers bloom that you swear you've never seen before, yet their fragrance awakens memories of childhood summers, of gardens tended by loving hands, of moments of pure happiness that seemed too perfect to be real. Night-blooming Sirius unfolds petals like white silk, releasing perfume so sweet and complex it makes you dizzy with delight. Moonflowers open their faces to the starlight, glowing like captured moonbeams, their centers dark with mysteries that daylight cannot solve. The stream reappears, broader now and singing its water song more clearly, joined by tributaries that sparkle like liquid starlight in the darkness. You follow it downward, your hand trailing in the cool current, feeling connected to its journey toward distant seas, toward rivers you'll never see that carry this same water to shores beyond imagining. The water speaks to you of journeys and destinations, of the endless cycle that connects all living things, of the way every drop returns eventually to its source, changed by its travels, but essentially the same. Fish move in the deeper pools, their scales catching and reflecting the moonlight like living jewels. Some are ordinary trout and minnows, but others are creatures of pure beauty, fish with fins, like gossamer wings, fish with scales that hold the colors of sunset, fish that seem made of light itself, swimming through liquid darkness. They rise to the surface as you pass, not seeking food but offering greeting, acknowledging your presence in their realm with gentle splashes that sound like applause. The path winds through meadows where grass grows tall and sweet, where wildflowers bloom in patterns too perfect to be accidental, spirals and circles and complex, geometries that speak of intelligence behind their arrangement. Crickets sing in perfect harmony here, their voices blending to create chords that make the heart lift with inexplicable joy. Somewhere an owl calls, its voice deep and wise and infinitely patient, and you understand that it too is part of the great song, adding its voice to the symphony that has been playing since time began. You pass through groves of birch trees, whose white bark glows like captured moonlight, through stands of pine that fill the air with their clean, resinous fragrance, through copses of willow, whose trailing branches create curtained rooms where fairies might hold their councils and sprites might dance their ancient dances. Each type of tree has its own personality, its own gift to offer the night. The strength of oak, the flexibility of birch, the perseverance of pine, the grace of willow, all of them part of the living library that is this forest. Each one a book of wisdom waiting to be read by those who know how to listen. The forest begins to thin gradually, and you smell something that makes you smile. The warm yeasty scent of baking bread, the earthy richness of pipe tobacco, the green smell of well-watered gardens, the sweet perfume of roses climbing cottage walls. The Shire waits ahead, lanterns still glowing in windows like earthbound stars, promising warmth and rest and the comfort of familiar things. But you carry something new with you now, the memory of starlight caught in silver bark, of songs older than sorrow, of the vast and patient love that holds all growing things in its endless embrace. You pause at the forest's edge and look back once more at the paths that wind into darkness, knowing that you will remember this night for the rest of your life, that it will color every sunset, you witness every song, you hear every moment of beauty that crosses your path. The tree line stands dark against the star-filled sky, and you could swear you see figures moving among the trunks, the tall elves in their flowing robes, the bright-eyed earthworkers with their gentle laughter, the creatures of fur and feather who bridge the worlds with their ancient wisdom. The path is still there, silver in the moonlight, waiting for the next traveler brave enough to seek what lies beyond the boundaries of the known, patient as stone, enduring as the mountains, eternal as the stars themselves. The trees nod their ancient heads in farewell, and you could swear you hear, carried on the night wind, a whisper of thanks for bearing witness, for remembering, for carrying their stories back into the world of everyday wonder, where magic waits to be discovered in the most ordinary moments by those who have learned to see with eyes opened by mystery. The familiar sounds of the Shire welcome you home like a gentle song, a distant owl calling from the party tree, its voice a counterpoint to the wilder owl songs you heard in the deep forest, the soft creak of a windmill's sails turning in the gentle breeze, the faint melody of someone playing a wooden flute by their fire, the quiet splash of a stream that has never known the deeper mysteries of the forest, but carries its own quiet magic of home and comfort and belonging. Your feet find the cobblestone paths they know so well, but they carry you differently, now with a new awareness of the ground beneath your steps, of the countless feet that have walked these same stones of the love and care that went into placing each one just so. You've walked where starlight grows on trees, where stones remember how to sing where the very air holds. Memories of magic older than kingdoms, and now every step you take in the ordinary world carries with it the echo of that extraordinary journey. The windows of Bag End glow warm and welcoming, and you can see through one hobbit reading by his fire, spectacles perched on his nose as he turns the pages of a well-loved book. Through another window, you glimpse a family gathered around their dinner table, the remnants of a good meal before them, faces bright with laughter as someone tells a story that sets them all to giggling. These scenes, which might once have seemed mundane, now appear touched with their own quiet magic, their own deep beauty, their own place in the great song that encompasses all existence. You think of the elves who avoid those nighttime paths, and you understand their wisdom now with a clarity that comes not from the mind, but from the heart, from the deep places where truth lives beyond the reach of ordinary thought. Some beauty is almost too much to bear, some wonder too vast for ordinary days to contain without being transformed by it. The elves, who live forever and have time to experience beauty in small, careful doses, choose not to overwhelm themselves with the concentrated wonder of those ancient paths after dark. But you also understand that sometimes, when the moon is full and the heart is ready, and the soul hungry for something larger than itself, we need to walk where angels fear to tread. We need to remember that the world holds more magic than we usually dare to believe, more beauty than we usually allow ourselves to see, more love than we usually permit ourselves to feel. These journeys into the extraordinary are not escapes from life, but preparations for living more fully, for seeing the sacred in the mundane, for recognizing the extraordinary that hides within the ordinary like light waiting to be released from within a stone. As you approach your own front door, you notice how the lamplight seems warmer than before, how the roses by your gate smell sweeter than you remembered, how the very air feels more alive with possibility and promise. The journey into Mirkwood's heart has changed you, opened something that was closed, awakened something that was sleeping, activated something that was waiting for the right moment to bloom like a flower that opens only to moonlight. You are the same person who set out tonight, carrying the same memories, wearing the same clothes, thinking with the same mind. And yet you are entirely new, transformed by beauty into someone capable of seeing magic in ordinary moments. Someone who knows without doubt that wonder is not rare, but everywhere waiting only for eyes that know how to look and hearts that dare to believe. You pause with your hand on the door latch and breathe in the night air one more time, tasting it now with senses sharpened by your journey into mystery. Somewhere in the distance, carried on a wind that smells of deep forests and ancient songs, you hear the faint sound of laughter, not mocking, but delighted. The sound of the trees themselves, sharing the joy of what you've discovered, the wonder of what you've witnessed, the beauty of what you've become through your willingness to step off the familiar paths and into the unknown. Inside your home, the fire burns low in the hearth, painting everything in warm gold, and amber casting dancing shadows that remind you of the fireflies that welcomed you into their ancient dance. Your favorite chair waits by the window, a soft throw draped over its arms, like an invitation to rest and reflect. A cup of chamomile tea steams on the small table, beside it honey sweet and perfect for settling into sleep, for carrying the peace of your journey into the realm of dreams where all journeys continue in forms too beautiful for waking minds to hold. You sink into the chair and pull the throw around your shoulders, feeling surrounded by comfort and love and the quiet magic of home. Not just a home of walls and roof and familiar furniture, but the deeper home of belonging, of being exactly where you need to be, of having found your place in the great song that includes every heartbeat, every breath, every moment of joy or sorrow or wonder that has ever been or ever will be. Through the window, you can see the edge of the great forest, dark against the star-filled sky that seems somehow brighter than before, as if your journey has polished your ability to see light wherever it appears. The paths are there, waiting, eternal and patient, as the stones that remember, how to sing as the trees that hold starlight in their silver bark, as the love that weaves through all existence, like a thread of light too fine to see, but strong enough to hold the universe together. You know now that they will always be there, ready to welcome any traveler brave enough to seek wonder, wise enough to listen to the old songs, open enough to let beauty change them from the inside out. And knowledge is a gift you'll carry always, that magic is real, that beauty is everywhere, that love is the force that moves the stars and opens flowers and calls lonely hearts home to themselves. Your eyes grow heavy, weighted with satisfaction and peace, and the sweet tiredness that comes after a day well lived, a journey well taken, a mystery well encountered. You let them close, and in the space between waking and sleeping, you hear it once more, the whisper of wind through leaves that have learned to hold starlight, a distant music of stones that sing of love and loss, and the endless beauty of beginnings, the quiet conversation between all living things that continues day and night, season after season, age after age, world without end.